Hi, everyone. I hope you all are doing well, staying safe. So thank you again for coming and spending this moment to watch my video on a topic that is really near and dear to my heart, and that is continued education. So we're hitting the summer. Most of us have finished our grades if we're professors, and we're looking at the summer thinking, okay, we have a bit of time on our hands. We can't travel. We can't go to conferences because like physical conferences, we're still able to go to virtual ones. But what else can we do during this time to help better ourselves for the upcoming year? And the answer is simple, looking at continued education opportunities. And so for myself as a professor in social media, I always look for opportunities to better myself, to learn a new skill, but also take advantage of some professional certifications that I could add to my own resume that I can then share with my students. So I'm going to be talking to you guys about 4 great resources to consider. I've taken, all of them, and I've actually been a part of 2 of them. So I'm really excited to share with you guys some of these opportunities that you might want to consider for the upcoming summer and in preparation for the new academic year. Okay, so one of the things that I mentioned, in the previous video is that there are a lot of resources here about, educating yourselves on new platforms, new tools. As I mentioned before, there are 2 that I will be covering that I, had a chance to work on earlier this year and even last year, but there are 2 others that I think would be very beneficial. So the first one I want to bring up is actually a latest new update from Later. So Later has done a lot of work with their platform, for Instagram, but they've really taken an initiative to really embrace TikTok. So Taylor actually shared this on Twitter. And so I've known Taylor virtually for several years. I knew her, actually, she was the first person that actually wrote a story about me and my work at the University of Louisville, teaching social media classes. So that's kind of cool, but now she's at Later. So she actually created a free, that's the operative word, a free TikTok for business video. So while this may not necessarily be a certification perhaps, but it could be an opportunity for educators, for students to watch this short 30+ minute video and to get the, insights, the strategies, and the framework to do TikTok very well. So why do I bring this up? Because TikTok is everywhere. It is one of those platforms that has really catapulted over the last several months. Many businesses are, of course, embracing it, like Chipotle and among others. And users are kind of looking at, well, how do I use this platform strategically? So I'm really grateful that Later has created this short video to really capture some of the best practices. So props to Later on this. Now, the next one I want to go into is Twitter Flight School. So you might be thinking, wait, I'm aware of Twitter Flight School, hasn't been around for a while. It has, but they've updated their curriculum, which is cool. So this is an opportunity for you to learn, not only the basics of Twitter, but specifically the ad fundamentals. So this is, again, free for students and other professionals to take advantage of. So they have like in terms of their learning management system, they have, pretty good framework. So they have it, of course, frequently asked questions. And then these, of course, are the various lessons that you go through. So you go through each of these. And of course, you go through them, you can say, okay, what are the lessons? What's the overview? And they're pretty straightforward, but the overall feel of the learning management tool is very seamless. There's a lot of information. There's, some videos and stuff. So, they also give you an exam that you can, of course, get your badge. And this badge, of course, can be added to your LinkedIn. So again, LinkedIn has the ability to showcase, various certifications. So then all you have to do once you pass the exam, it's about 40 questions. You upload that credential, for your certification on LinkedIn. Again, another way to kind of continue your educational training. But, they have other resources here as well. And so one of the things that I do wish that they had in the certifications were, some exercises, some, again, additional resources beyond what they have here. So is it worthwhile to do? Absolutely. I love Twitter, so I think this is essential. Will I be adding this to my classes in the upcoming year? Absolutely. I think it's another certification that, again, helps students understand not just only the basics of Twitter, but also the ad management side, as well as the campaign strategy. So the next one I want to go over is HubSpot. So HubSpot is, of course, a great company. I've worked with them, for the last couple of years. I was part of their first version of the social media certification. And so this, again, is kind of an update. So like all things in social media, you have to update the content. And so this first certification was released in 2018. So again, it's 2020. A lot's happened in 2 years. So that is something to keep in mind. So the social media strategy certification has been rebranded. The videos have been redone. The examples that have been showcased, there's been new added components like influencer marketing. And so you're able to see the lessons here. So it was kind of fun to be able to kind of see the essentials for continued success with social media. Like if you go to this lesson over here, you'll probably see a few videos of me and familiar faces. I was able to film everything for HubSpot remotely. So that was quite the experience. But, this is a good certification to really kind of add in, especially to a social media strategy course. So I have taken, of course, the certification. I've incorporated the first version of the social media certification into my classes this past year. I was on sabbatical in spring of 2019, so I was able to utilize HubSpot social media, their certification in the fall, and then again this spring. So what are some things that I like? Again, they do have an exam that you basically have here, and so basically this is something that you might want to kind of take advantage of. What are some things that I think could be improved on? I think one of the things that I didn't really see updated was the workbook. Again, a lot's happened, from 2018 to 2020. Social media courses have become more established, more upper level. And so I really would like to see from HubSpot kind of the next level of resources, like what are things that we can do to kind of tie in not only the concepts, from the certification into a workbook, would really kind of say, okay, how can we really, really apply what we're looking at and talking about here? So I think workbooks are good at the basic level, but they really don't kind of show the students, here's how I can go about and doing this. These are activities, assignments, projects, individual elements that I can show employers and internship coordinators what I'm able to do. A certification is only good. It's like, okay, how to take an exam, how to take, a basic understanding of certain concepts, but it's really important to show how you're going to apply this. And this is kind of universal for all certifications that I think need to be incorporated in this way. Now, so what I want to do is talk last but not least about Facebook. So Facebook Blueprint has been around for several years. They've really updated their content, but specifically they have made a designated program for educators. So full disclosure, like HubSpot, I worked with Facebook Blueprint this past year. They were not only a class client for my PR class in the fall, but I had a chance starting last spring up until last fall to work with them on building and advising them on the content that is appropriate here. So what's unique about, what Facebook has done compared to, let's say, Twitter, is they have a whole dedicated platform for educators. So if I wanted to implement Facebook Blueprint into my classes, I have this particular resource that I'm able to do that and share with my students. So there's a huge library in terms of what educators are able to do. You could go through various units. So if you explore through units, there's different modules. They have interactive experiences. They have videos. But it really kind of looks at, the major concepts. So you have build a business presence, basic digital marketing elements, creating social media content. So again, these are various modules that can be supplemented and added into your curriculum. So this is something that I think is really great about what Facebook has done, is they've really opened up line of communication for educators to say, okay, here's resources that we know that you may be using in your classes, but we're able to give you that accordingly. So I really do like the welcome portal. You know, you have, of course, the voucher assistance program. So again, one of the things that comes up, you know, related to certifications, especially with Facebook Blueprint, is the overall cost. So the cost for the exam compared to some of the other certifications like HubSpot and Twitter Flight School is free. Facebook Blueprint is not. So there are some vouchers in terms of what, you know, you can do, you know, to get the certification. But I bring this up, and this is something as educators we have to be a little creative about, is seeing, okay, what are ways in which we can bring these type of opportunities to our school? Is it reaching out to the development office at our university to see if there's donors who would be willing to help? Is it a form of scholarships, or is in some cases the cost of the exam for certifications with Facebook the cost like that you would use for a book? And so I've seen a couple of classes that have done that. So this has been pilot tested this past year. We had a chance in my classes at the University of Louisville to be part of this, but I do think that there are a lot of benefits here for Facebook Blueprint. Could there be additional things that could be added? Absolutely. But what is good too here, you know, that I want to keep in mind is they're continually focusing on adapting and adding new courses. And so they do have, of course, advertising and optimization, but they also have a virtual classroom for distance learning. But they also have, of course, new modules for creativity, as well as misinformation and ethics that are important to look at. So those are, again, just some basic, simple, you know, certifications that you can do at your own time. And as educators, we need to be aware of what type of programs and opportunities we're sharing with our students, because in this line of work, some of our students are hitting the job market at one of the toughest points in history. And we want to make sure that they have the ability to be marketable with new skills, but they have the basics and sometimes advanced understandings of what's going on in the industry for social media and digital marketing. So these 4 opportunities, some of them, again, free certifications, and others just a video kind of clarifying the strategic use of social media practices. And then there's another more established, but again, expensive certification to consider. So there's a wide range. So I'm not asking everyone to do all of these all at once, but it's important for us to continue learning, to build upon these new skills, and for students to add these certifications as part of your repertoire. But these do not replace experience. So what you want to do with these certifications, both as an educator, as a student, is to apply what you're learning. So when you're learning about Twitter ads, try out a Twitter ad. If you're doing a virtual remote internship, pitch this idea to your, you know, business, you know, to see, can I try that? Can I go through Ad Manager to kind of implement an actual, you know, in-stream video that we can do for one of our clients? Or if you're working with a company that's dealing a lot with Facebook ads, can you launch and create a Facebook ad campaign? You know, and so, or if you want to do a whole like social media strategic plan, you can implement that from the lessons that you're learning from HubSpot. So there's a lot of opportunities, but the big thing is take the certification. So yes, have it on your resume to continue to learn, to build knowledge, but it's important to apply what you're learning for these certifications. And if you have other certifications that you're interested in, that you've heard about, that you would like to learn more about, let me know. I am here to help and continue learning. That's the name of the business. So hope everyone's doing well and stay safe out there.